Welcome pilots, my name is Hyperbeam. We are back once again to watch your takeoff and landings. This time we are back once again, Season 2, Finale, Part 3. If you have not watched the other parts, highly recommend you go check them out now. Link will be in the description box below, and of course an iCard will be on the top right of your screen. But what we have here at ArcCorp coming in for landing is a 100i with an early gear deployment. Light is on the front of the nose, you can see there, as this player is gingerly making their way in. Of course, the 100i is an entry-level ship. Very nice ship for what it does. It could be pretty darn versatile. It's basically Origin's answer to the Aurora in many respects, of course. Has very much the same features and is a single-seater. It has some cargo space in it, as well as it also has a bed. So it can do a lot of the very early game stuff on its own. Not necessarily the strongest dogfighter, but it gets the job done. And it has it where it counts. All right, nice. Very, a little bit hesitant on the descent, but overall very nice. All right, cool. Now we are landed. Awesome. So not too shabby. Some hesitation, early gear deployment there. So definitely this player is kind of still trying to get their space legs a little bit here, possibly. It seems could be other reasons why, but other than that, this player did a phenomenal job, at least getting right down on the center there. But because there's some hesitation in early gear deployment, of course, I'm going to have to take some points away from that. So that's going to be a solid 6 out of 10. Could be a lot better because that hesitation can be addressed, of course, to improve on that. Let's see what else we got here. I also see some additional hangars opening up here. I'm just going to do a quick fly around and see. Let me come back around over here and see what we got. So we have the small hangar and we have a large hangar open up. Actually, something that's coming out of the large hangar. I can see it there. Yes, we have a Redeemer. Redeemer is always a crowd pleaser if you're doing some bounties or hanging out with some friends. It is a wonderful ship to fly and utilize. And what do we have here? Something I heard on my left side coming in for landing. Let's take a look. So we have an empty hangar here that could be somebody had just left or somebody is coming in. Although I did hear that pass by sound that probably indicates to me maybe that person did leave. I could be wrong. I'll hang out here for just a short second. That Redeemer looked very... Oh, here we go. Here they are. And we have an Antares coming in for landing. Early gear deployment, which means that this pilot is not familiar with the cycle configuration that you can do to pull the actual S-foils inwards and then not have the gear down. But it all works well and good. I'll reiterate. You guys know I reiterate all the time, but hey, I get them in the comments all the time. It doesn't matter in Star Citizen, but it does matter for what we're doing in this video. We are looking for cinematic landings, right? Something you'd see in Star Wars or, I don't know, Stargate or any other type of sci-fi medium, right? Where you see people coming in and landing. We want it to look very cinematic, so that means nice and controlled, no hesitation coming in gear right before you touch down. And in this case, we have a lot of hesitation from this Antares, as this pilot is undoubtedly probably in third person trying to get their bearings before they touch down, and also making sure that they are perfectly lined up, which they are, and that is a very nice centered landing. So very, very nice, but early gear deployment and a ton of hesitation there. Although they are very well nice and centered, all things considered there. So I'll give them about a 7 on that, because that is definitely an improved landing there over, say, for example, the 100, which had a lot of issues with their landing, which was more of a 6 out of 10 on that one. Oh, what do we got? Somebody zooming out of the hangars here on the side. We have an Avenger Titan of some description. Taking off. Gear was already up. That's a beautiful takeoff. Could not see when they actually lifted. I didn't see the full sequence, but that is a very, very nice takeoff. Very beautiful. Do love seeing that early gear retraction. You can see that this is why I love those side hangars, folks. They're so good. Also, not going to give a full rating to that Redeemer because I didn't quite see the full sequence of takeoff from there. But either way, I do love what I'm seeing here. Very, very busy today. Let's see what else we get. Let's go ahead and move on. Okay, we have a C2 coming in with a very early VTOL usage. I love seeing the VTOL on the Hercules, but it is a little bit early than what it's needed here. It's carrying a lot of speed, so it doesn't need it. About right here is probably where you would want to actually engage the VTOL to make it look a little bit more plausible and usable, right? Let's see how they do here. So they're coming in, nose hot, pretty fast. Slow down. Ooh, nice flare. Very nice flare. We talked about the flare in episode 2 of this finale, right? The flare is very, very well utilized here. As you can see, they pulled their nose up right before they touched down. That is a very nice smooth landing there, by the way, too. All things considered, most people who come in with a little bit too much speed tend to nose in their Hercules a little too much, but that was really nice, and also excellent utilization of the flare to slow themselves down. They were nose down, they were coming in a hot approach, and then they decided to flare to kill off some of that speed. We have Stahlward coming in, a vulture, what looks like from this light configuration. Yes, that is, I'm correct here, that is a vulture we are seeing. For that Hercules, I'm going to give them a 9 out of 10. The only reason why I'm not going to give them a full 10 is because the VTOLs could be done a little bit later than where they had that set. Ooh, a nice invert and rollover here from Stahlward. Very fancy. Looking good. No VTOL activation, though, on that vulture. That is unfortunate. Let's see, where is their gear configuration? Their gear is still up, and the gear is coming down right through the air shield. I do love to see that. That is very nice. I would like to see it a little bit further inwards there, but that is really, really nice. And a nice smooth touchdown. There's a little bit of some physical effects on the nose there, but that's probably could be due to lag. I don't think that was actually a real true collision there, but that was really nice. I do like that invert. I'll give you points for having that really beautiful invert as you came in, but no VTOL activation. I won't take points away for being too early on the gear there because they did do it when they came into the air shield, which is part of the criteria. I would prefer to see it a little bit later than that, but that still is good overall. I'm going to give that a solid 8 out of 10. We have a Mustang out in the distance over there. Don't know if they're going to come in for landing, but I'm going to cut it right here and let's see who we get. All right, what have we got here? We have somebody coming in for landing. We have pilot NovaGrim77 coming in for landing in a Mercury Star Runner with an early gear deployment. Look at that, ice skating into the alignment of the actual hangar, right? So they're trying to line themselves up so they kind of like ice skate their way over to the side of their, kind of doing a little bit of Tokyo drifting here. Very nice. Looks like they're trying to do kind of a horizontal alignment. Be careful of the jutting out towers there. We have on this show, of course, seen people hit those jutting towers. They can sneak up on you, especially in these type of conditions at night where it's hard to see anything. Overall, very solid, looking good, keeping things nice and controlled and centered. Back it up a little bit and kind of came down a little bit rough there, but overall, very, very nice. It's a little spooky there at the end there, and of course, an early gear deployment, so not as much hesitation, so that's good, but there was, because they were kind of rushing a little bit there, either they were decoupled or they just kind of were applying too many inputs there. It does look a little bit spooky, a little bit scary there. Almost like they weren't fully in control, so I will take a couple points for that as well. So early gear deployment and a little bit of lack of control there, so that is going to be an 8 out of 10. Very, very nice, but it definitely could be better. Let's move on. Okay, we got a vulture taking off from the small hangars, and it looks like we are going to see a bolter pattern. Gear is already up and ready to go. Nose is pointed up. Let's see how the actual takeoff is here, and away they go. Beautiful. That is exactly a textbook bolter pattern, ladies and gentlemen, and that looks to be, let's get a name here, that is Stahlward, who we saw land earlier. So that's a phenomenal. So this person definitely takes pride in their takeoff and landings. Stahlward, I would love to see a lot more VTOL, though. You have a lot of flourish and finesse in your landings, but you definitely should be using the VTOLs on those vultures a lot more, just because it gives you a little bit more control, and it looks really cool. I love the way the VTOLs look on that vulture, by the way. So, yeah, overall, Stahlward, that is a beautiful takeoff, though. You did not use the VTOLs in your bolter pattern there, so I will give you a 9 out of 10 on that takeoff. Overall, really, really good. Textbook bolter. Just got to make sure you're using those VTOLs when you need them, right? All right. While we go ahead and hover the ground here, let's go ahead and wait for the next customer here as the sun slowly rises in the distance. Oh, what do we got here? We have Basix GG in an Avenger coming on in. We have what looks to be a very early gear deployment as they come in. Very common. We always see lots of early gear deployments, although, of course, I'm going to be taking points away from that. A little bit quick there, but overall nice. A little bit off kilter there as they came in a little bit eager. And it looks like Basix is not quite, not quite satisfied with that. So it looks like they're gonna do a little bit of a hop and a jump over just to get themselves back and nice and centered. So that is always an option, folks, right? If you're not satisfied with your landing, of course, you can readjust themselves. We have what looks to be Fister taking off in some type of 300 here with the gear still down. Don't forget to pull your gear up, folks. It does look a little silly when you take off. I know, everybody forgets. I've even forgotten sometimes too, but hey, building good habits is always important, especially as Star Citizen begins to change over time, right? So we got a little bit of hesitation from Basix there, as well as an early gear deployment. Could be a lot better. They were also a little bit off-centered, so that's going to be a 6 out of 10. Let's go ahead and move on. Out in the beautiful sunlight, we have what appears to be a Spirit coming in for landing, and is that an early gear deployment? I know the Spirit can be a little bit weird with its LODs, but that does look to be an early gear deployment coming in here. And of course, we all know the Spirit can be a very difficult ship to land here. Ooh, careful! Watch your altitude there. Ooh! Very careful when you're descending there, folks. This person potentially could be decoupled here. Are they going to do the diagonal approach? No, they're going to go straight in here. And then they're going to, oh, yep, contact. They make contact with the back end. Now they're going to start fighting with it. Watch the nose. Oh, bumps the nose. All right, let's see. Oh, they're scraping into everything as they're coming in here. All right, you're good. You're good there, pilot. Now go ahead and just bring it down. All right, there you go. Sometimes, you know, as a Spirit owner, you just let the hangar do most of the work for you, right, folks? So, early gear deployment, and unfortunately multiple contacts with the hangar, so that's going to be a 5. I have to take a lot of points for impacts, folks. Remember, impacts are not something you generally want. It's not very cinematic. You have to avoid them. So a lot of points are going to be taken off from that. All right, let's go ahead and move on. Okay, we got another Hercules coming in here. Crater Joe. Love that name. That's an awesome name. Definitely an American for sure. I'm on the American servers right now currently, so it makes perfect sense as they come in to land here. No VTOLs being used. That's okay. As you're carrying speed inwards, you don't need to use VTOLs because you can pretend, you know, you're kind of being aerodynamic. But as soon as you need to slow down and then come to a slow hover, or in this case right here, right, your altitude's pretty low, you could probably start using VTOLs here. It just looks a lot better. And they're really cutting close to the ground there as they're straight nosing in, but overall looking good here. Slowing down and gear activation right before they touch down. Beautiful gear activation. I love to see it. And wonderful, wonderful. Look at that. Look at that. Straight down the center. That is wonderful from Crater Joe. Beautiful landing. The only thing I will say, though, of course, is no VTOL usage. That would have been a solid 10 out of 10 landing had we had some VTOLs being used there. So I'm going to have to give them a 9. Excellent. But we're just missing, we're missing the salt in our little stew there. Our little smooth landing stool. Stool? Ugh, goodness, what am I saying, folks? Stew. Oh, here we go. We have a Spirit taking off from the small hangar here. This could be the same pilot from last time. And away they go. A wonderful bolter pattern takeoff. Can't quite see the gear, but I also am noticing we're not seeing any VTOLs here. Because I can't see the gear, I'm not going to give them a full rating, though I would say that's an awesome bolter pattern takeoff. However, I would like to see VTOLs being utilized before you do your rotation upwards, right? You just got to make it look like it's believable, folks. It's got to be believable. All right, let's go ahead. I think everything's calming down here. Not hearing anybody come in. Yep, everything seems good. Let's go ahead and move on, shall we? Okay, time has now passed, and we are here with zRyukz coming in for landing in what appears to be an Avenger Titan. Titans are very, very popular, folks. They do make excellent starter ships. If you want just a little bit more out of Star Citizen's starter ships, the Avenger Titan is always a solid, solid pick. It has excellent cargo space, decent guns, and overall, it just looks cool. It looks awesome, right? And, ooh, a nice horizontal pattern approach here, which is something you don't often see. Also, love the iron weave paint on here. It is really nice, but we did have an early gear activation slightly off-centered there. Would like to see that be nudged a little bit forward there, but I do appreciate the bravery of doing that horizontal inward approach into the hangar. Not everybody does it. Again, I always recommend nose-in approaches, but hey, overall, very good. That's a solid 7 right there. I would say that's a 7. We're a little bit off kilter, and we do have an early gear deployment. I could give them an 8 for that. You know what? Actually, I'm going to be generous, and I will give them an 8 because they decided to be horizontal. Let's move on. All right, folks, we have zRyukz coming in for landing in a constellation Andromeda. I do apologize if I'm not saying your name correctly, Ryukz. Please let me know if you do watch this video, if you are a viewer indeed, that I have said it correctly or not. I do want to try to get people's names correctly. This is also partly why I don't always read or show people's names in previous episodes, because not only do I not want to kind of draw attention to people's skills and draw their name to it as well, but I also want to be sure that I'm not making the mistake of mispronouncing people's names. So anyway, enough of the babble. We have an early gear deployment. Ooh, nice flare. Beautiful flare, but no VTOL activation, which means that flare is not as cool as it possibly could be. So we have early gear deployment, no VTOL activation, but a very nice controlled descent. Oh no, and it's ruined by an auto land. No, okay, we gotta take points for the auto land, folks. That was so good, Ryukz. I don't know why you decided to use an auto land. You should be a little bit more confident with your landing there. That was wonderful. All you had to do was just bring it down. Screw the computer. Just do it. unfortunate. I'm going to have to give them a 6 out of 10 for that because we have a lot of elements missing, and of course using that auto land. That would have been so beautiful if he did not use that auto land. Such a shame, folks. All right, let's go ahead and move on as things are quiet here. Okay, NoAtmo coming in here with a C1 Spirit. C1 is so incredibly popular. I thought the A1 would be a lot popular just because of the fact that it has bombs, but so many people really love Crusaders, you know, basically Cutlass competitors, so to speak. They really, really enjoy that. You know, and hey, more power to them. Looking good here. No VTOLs being utilized here. However, we do have a little bit of an early gear activation, although that was a little bit of a rough landing as well. So no VTOL activation, a little bit early on the gears, and a decently rough landing there that could have been better, as well as it being a little bit offset. I'll give them about a 7 for that because I think overall it was still pretty good. It could have been way, way better than that, for sure. Definitely a lot more we could have done there. All right, let's go ahead and move on. All right, I think this is going to be the last one for tonight. I've been recording all week, and it's been absolutely phenomenal, folks. And what else is a better way to cap off this season than having something a little bit rare as a Hull A with a little bit of cargo here. The cargo is a little bit desynced. The little cargo arm spindle is desynced on the Hull A. And yeah, that's unfortunate because I do love the way it looks when it's fully extended. Now, the Hull A is a wonderful little puddle jumper that carries cargo, but unfortunately, I think a lot of people are just deathly afraid of people coming and just stealing their cargo off of their ship, which is why nobody really uses it to carry small amounts of cargo. But, I mean, come on, it's still a fun ship. But either way, this pilot here has got a lot of hesitation, early gear activation, and they're still trying to kind of find their sea legs here as they land. And it looks like they're now nice and lined up here, and we have an auto land. Unfortunate, I was looking for a much solid landing there, but we are going to see a much more linear auto land here. Hey, it is what it is. Not everybody is confident with their landing, although I think that was a pretty solid lineup despite all that hesitation. Now I'm hearing something off to my right, which tells me that's probably either some type of C1 like a Spirit, or it is probably like an MSR or something like that just on the sound alone. And we have NoAtmo in the C1, and it is indeed a C1. Goodbye, NoAtmo. Did not see that full takeoff, so I'm not going to count that in the rating. Either way, folks, I think I'm going to cut here and just go straight to the outro. So I'll be right back. All right, folks, that concludes Season 2 of watching your takeoff and landings. It has been a phenomenal journey from Season 1, where I just kind of, just out of nowhere, just was like, you know what, I just kind of want to just turn the camera on and watch people land just because I can. It's really cool how much we all land in Star Citizen, but what does it actually look from other people's perspectives? And that's what got me into just turning on the cameras and just trying it, and I was absolutely astounded by how much you all just absolutely fell in love with this concept. And of course, I look to be expanding it further. We are not going to be ending the show here whatsoever. This is just going to be a short hiatus. Of course, we are slowly working our way towards 3.23 with the brand new flight model coming in with that as well. There's going to be a lot to cover. There's going to be a lot of stuff, and I'm going to need all that extra time to do a lot more research and to eventually, of course, check out some of those builds that are going to be in the Evocati. As many of you all know, I'm in Evocati, so I need a lot of the time to kind of look into the builds and research it, so that way if I do put some guides out or whatever, or I start talking about stuff, I'm trying to get the best information out to you all. But either way, the show is going to come back, whether it's going to be after 3.23 or before. That will remain to be seen. I have to see what CIG's schedule looks to be on it as they slowly release more information on 3.23, and we can kind of get a better idea of when that patch actually goes live. Other ideas I've had so far is, of course, you know, we're going to be checking out the landings as usual, but down the line, I would love to do cool stuff like watching people coming out of jump gates and stuff like that, because we do know that the jump gates, the jump points are coming also in a much, much later build, so that would be like Season 4 or 5, who knows how far that's going to be down the line. It's way down there, but that is something I have in mind. I would love to watch players coming and going from jump points or something down the line. That would be really, really solid. And of course, if we do get Pyro within this year, I would love to absolutely go and see if I can take my Fury out to Pyro and watch some pirates landing. I actually wanted to try to do that as kind of a bit of a surprise when we had the tech preview of Pyro on at some point, but I was a little bit busy. I could not really get around to it in time, but it is what it is. With the inevitable potential arrival of Pyro, I do want to do that for sure. All right, folks, that's it for me today. If you did indeed enjoy today's video, please leave a like, as it really does help out the channel. And of course, if you want to see more videos like this and much more down the line, be sure to subscribe as well. And of course, if you want to go above and beyond and help support the channel and help make this content a reality, the join button down there is below for you to check out as well to become a sponsor of the channel and get your name in some of the videos as well. But until next time, fly safe, because you never know who might be watching. And I'll see you all in the black.